if you could sit down in front of parents and say, please stop doing this. Please stop posting these things. What would some of those things be that you think that you wish parents had more aware of with regard to maybe predators or people who want to peek in on their child's life?
Right. It's such a hard thing because I don't want to be a fear monger, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I believe that most people are good. I really do. I still believe that. Even the work that I do, I still believe that most people are good. I have to believe that. It's the only way to get through a day, right? But the flip side of that is because I've seen some of these cases, I can see the awful things that happen. So posting, again, photos of your children, doing that publicly is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. As just kind of an example story is that we arrested a predator, and within his phone, he had photographs of thousands of children. Now, he was smart because he'd been arrested for this before. He knew not to have what we would consider explicit child sexual exploitation material, where a child is possibly unclothed. He had thousands of photographs of young children in bathing suits, in dance costumes, things that he had scoured from the internet or from social media that were shared publicly that he could keep into his phone for his own gratification, but weren't bad enough for him to get arrested for child sexual exploitation, right? So I guess for parents, that's kind of one thing for me is we don't need to be sharing so many public things about our children all the time. And again, sharing them publicly is concerning because we don't know who's downloading those photos or what they're doing with them.
Are there ways that parents can help their kids think about avoiding, these kind of online relationships? So many parents think that they're doing good in monitoring those things, but I also know that there are loopholes. Some gaming platforms allow people to talk to each other in the chat, or, are there things that, when I was growing up, I'm so old that my mother just told me, don't take candy from strangers.
Right.
And that was pretty much the conversation about how to stay safe.
Yeah.
But, what is it that we need to be thinking about as parents when it comes to these issues and paying attention to potential relationships that could form online?
Yeah. It's hard because the easiest answer is, don't give your kid a smartphone, right? I mean, that's just, they can't have one. But that's not the best answer, obviously, because there's reasons, obviously good reasons why they would potentially need a smartphone. And so just trying to, and again, as a parenting technique, just kind of like putting the hammer down on one particular thing, probably not the best way to go. The best way to go, I think, honestly, is first of all, choosing an appropriate age for when they do get a smartphone. I would push closer to 14, 15. Having an 8-year-old with a smartphone, not a good idea. But really more importantly is finding, and there's great resources out there, finding out how to have these age appropriate conversations with your children from a young age. And I hate to say it, but you need to do it from a young age because they're going to be bombarded by all kinds of material and potentially people that are contacting them the second that you let them to go out on the big wide internet, right? And so having age appropriate conversations with them about the dangers of social media and online gaming, talking about sexual abuse, exploitation. What is sexploitation? What is trafficking, right? Having these conversations with them, again, in an age-appropriate way, and then keep having those conversations with them, adjusting the conversation as they get older. So understanding how grooming works, right? So at a young age, but you teach your children about their body autonomy and things that they don't allow to happen and things that they say no to. And again, if anyone makes them feel uncomfortable, that kind of thing, have conversations about that. As they move forward, talking about okay, you're this age now, and we're going to allow you to have an Instagram account. Here's the dangers of accepting people who are not, you don't actually know in real life. And that's, to me, that's kind of a big rule. Like, don't accept friends or followers of people that you do not know in real life. And again, just having this conversation, talking about ways as they get older again of the grooming process and how that happens. They're going to come in. They're going to act like they're your best friend. They're going to tell you that your friends, don't support you, that your parents don't support you. They're going to start working this idea into your head. Understanding that grooming process and telling them those things. Again, I don't want you talking to people online, but understanding that it's probably going to happen. So even kids who have been allowed to have an Instagram account, right? Mom and dad friended it. They follow it. They see what they post. They have secondary Instagram accounts that you don't know about, or even I knew of one child who got banned from having her social media account. Mom shut off Wi-Fi at the house, all kinds of things. When she went over to her cousin's house, she was on cousin's phone logging into that account. So there's ways for kids to get around it. So the important thing, I think the main thing that parents can do is to fill your home with love, first and foremost. Fill your home with love, that sense of security and comfort for your children. And that does not mean never telling them no. Believe me, my kids have heard no plenty of times. A loving household is setting up those healthy boundaries for your kids, right? So at that home of love. And then, of course, paying attention. Paying attention is just going to be a huge thing. So I know we all get busy. We're so busy with work. Kids come home from school. We got to make dinner. They need to do homework. We got to get going. And everybody's kind of in their separate worlds, just kind of living around each other. Pay attention to your kids and look for those signs that we often as parents, I think, dismiss as phases. We think, he's just a surly teenager. This is what he goes through, right? But check in with your kids often. Identify concerning patterns or behaviors that have changes in personality, because what you're seeing may not necessarily, it might be a sign of a normal adolescent behavior, but it also should be something that you need to pay attention to and look into. And then finally, having that type of relationship with your kids where they know, and this is something that I've done with my own, is saying, I know that it might be hard to have a conversation with me. I understand that. But if anything ever happens online, once you've educated them about the things that can happen, that makes you uncomfortable, or you're concerned for yourself, you're concerned for a friend, they've told you a story, come talk to me. And if you can't come talk to me, talk to another trusted adult. Identify who that person is in their life that they can trust, that they can talk to. And again, just finally, I think once you've given them this education of things to look out for, encourage them to look out for their friends. All right. Mm-hmm. They may not necessarily talk to us. They may not talk to their teachers, their guidance counselors. They're going to talk to their friends. And I have such a great example. We have an activity that one of my kids does. And I had another child at that activity, a teenager, and her mom pull me into a room and say, can we talk to you? And this girl has a friend who was talking to someone online. It went somewhere that it shouldn't have gone. He didn't want to tell his parents. He was terrified, but he talked to her about it. And then she was so smart enough and had been taught so well by her parents that she decided that she needed to talk to a trusted adult to find out what she should do. So they need to be looking out for each other as well.